How many times have you sat down at your desk to revise for that exam tomorrow after putting it off for weeks and weeks and realised that you know nothing at all? Don't worry, I think we've all been there. But what if I told you that you can still get perfect grades, you can still get 100% even if you feel like you don't know anything right now? Because this video is going to explain exactly what you're going to do between now and that exam to boost your grade. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Sustainable Study Secrets, which is a series where I give you my top study tips and tricks for every single one of your exams. So if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any of my top study tips. If you are still here, you need to cram for an exam, or you anticipate that you will need to cram for an exam in the future. Do not worry, I'm not here to shame you for not having studied already. I'm here to help you reach your full potential. So without further ado, let me explain exactly what you are about to do between now and that exam. Step 1 is to switch up the order you are thinking about things in. So most people think, okay, I need to revise the content and then I need to do the exam questions and then I need to mark them and then I need to do that. No, you are going to start with practice. You might ask, why is this? Why do I need to start with practice questions? I feel like I don't know anything. Unfortunately for you, time is of the essence. Time is a scarce resource for you today. If you try and go over content for every single topic and then apply it to exam questions, you are going to run out of time today. So you need to be very strategic in the way that you're revising. You need to focus on those questions that you are already getting wrong. When you are cramming, there is no time to waste, and there is certainly not time to spend revising those topics that you're confident with and that you're already getting the marks for in that exam. The reason that I say to start with a practice paper or practice paper questions is because this helps you identify where you are losing marks in the exam. It also helps you because you are using active retrieval to answer those questions that you're already getting right. Furthermore, it helps you identify why you are losing out on marks, aka most of the time, it's not just a content issue, it's the fact that you don't understand how marks are allocated in that exam, particularly in standardised exams. You could know all of the content for A-level economics, but if you don't know how to write a 25 marker, you're still going to come out of that exam with a D. This is step 1. Now steps 2 and 3 are both about identifying these weakest areas as well, however doing so in an active way, because you don't have time to waste. You need to identify those specific topics that you need to work on in an active recall setting. So what I mean by this is we've just gone over practice papers. Now we've got 2 more methods. We've got RAG checklisting and we've got mock exams. Let's start with RAG checklisting. So you might have heard of a red, amber, green checklist. This means you need to go over your specification or a document outlining everything that you need to know for this exam and highlight in red, amber, green what you do know, what you don't know, and what you're a bit However, we're not just going to RAG checklist very passively. We're going to go through this specification or this list of topics and try and verbally explain every single one that is on that sheet. So if I had inflation, purchasing power parity, CPI, I'm using economics because that's my degree. If I had all of these things, I would need to verbally explain out loud these concepts. And if I couldn't do it, then this would be a red item on my RAG checklist. You will recognise that even if you thought you were confident with a certain topic, you are unable to recall that information on the spot. And this is very important because this demonstrates that you thoroughly understand something and you've actually remembered specific details about the topic. And finally, your mock exams and practice papers that you've done previously. These are really helpful because hopefully your teacher has marked them and told them where you need to improve. However, when you're going over this and you're picking out these topics that you need to work on, you got it wrong last time, you want to get it right this time, need to identify why you are getting things wrong. Use the marking criteria. Sure, you lost a mark on the essay, but did you lose the mark because you got something wrong? Or did you lose the mark because you just didn't give the examiner what they wanted to see? Did you not evaluate one of your points if that's in the mark scheme? Did you incorrectly define something? Did you make a silly calculation error? This will help guide your revision further, because if you made a silly maths mistake in your maths exam, or you just didn't read the question properly, you probably don't actually need to revise that topic if you thoroughly understood it. You just made a silly mistake. This is the importance of identifying why you got things wrong so that you can focus on those weakest topics. Now, you will have a list of things that you need to work on. What are you going to do with this list? I want you to pick out just 6 topics. You are only going to work on 6 topics, or at least you're only going to focus on 6 topics. This is because you may not have time to revise everything. Hopefully, you'll have less than 6 topics in this red area of your RAG checklist. But how are you going to decide on these 6 topics? You're going to choose those topics that you didn't understand the content for. It wasn't necessarily you couldn't apply it to the exam, it was that you didn't know or understand the content. It's going to be one of those topics that is a high yield topic. I'll get onto that in a moment. And it's also going to be one of those topics that you know links to many other topics. A high yield topic is a topic that comes up time and time again. You can't get away from it. Whether it be inflation in A-level economics, or rates of reaction in GCSE chemistry, or Macbeth in GCSE English literature. You can't get away from these specific topics, characters, or subtopics, and you need to understand them because they are at the heart of the course and the heart of the specification. Now you have your 6 topics. You need to identify which of these 6 topics you misunderstood first. This is critical because oftentimes in exams, your knowledge will build upon previous knowledge. Let's take maths for an example. If you're struggling with trigonometry, but you're also struggling with Pythagoras' theorem, you need to thoroughly understand Pythagoras' theorem before you can understand a lot of things in trigonometry. Therefore, you're going to work on this first. So now you've got your 6 topics, you know what you're going to focus on first, and you understand that if you understand and study these 6 things, you are going to give yourself the best shot at improving that grade. The first thing I want you to do is some sort of active recall on that topic, whether it be flashcards, a practice paper question, a blurt, depending on the topic it is. You are going to take the information from this and identify where your weaknesses are within this topic, because oftentimes it's not just the entire thing. If I had inflation, I might understand the definitions, real and nominal, but I don't really understand purchasing power parity. Again, you need to be very, very specific with what you are revising because you don't have much time. Then, when you have identified these weakest topics, I want you to read up on them in a textbook, use active reading like YYY, SQ4R, or if possible, watch a YouTube video on it. This is so helpful, especially for those standardized exams. Make notes that make sense to you as well. You need to get your head around these 6 topics and you need to grasp the key concepts. And if there is anything that you just can't seem to understand, ask AI to explain it to you like your 5. It works a treat, it works every time. When you've got this content into your head, you need to do some targeted practice paper questions on these topics. And the reason for this is because you are retrieving that information, but it also tests that you understand it and that you will actually be able to get the marks in the exam, because there's no point in even having learnt any of this if you can't actually get the mark. Do this for every single one of those 6 topics and you'll be shocked at how many more marks you get in that paper tomorrow. And when you've finished all of this and you're ready to leave your desk, do a brain dump, a blurt of everything you learnt that day to make sure it has stuck in your mind. Anything that didn't, review just before the exam. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode of Sustainable Study Secrets. Bye guys, love you!